Let's get some analysis on this. Joining me now live from Washington, D.C. is Sahar Khamis. She's a fellow with the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. Thanks very much for joining me here on TRT World. So we have been talking about a potential ceasefire in Gaza for more than 3 months now. Every other week there is talk about a ceasefire proposal. But the fact of the matter is none of those efforts have been realized. So my question is, do you think a ceasefire will be reached in the next few days or perhaps next few weeks, or is this becoming a seemingly never-ending war?
Thank you so much for having me. Indeed, it's not the first time that we had this kind of proposal on the table. There were similar proposals in the past, all of which really collapsed, mainly because of one big obstacle, which is Prime Minister Netanyahu and the right-wing members of his own cabinet, many of whom are still in opposition of any kind of ceasefire resolution up till this moment as we speak. Therefore, the picture is not really looking very hopeful. It seems to be a very reluctant acceptance of this proposal. Even the advisor or aide to Netanyahu, who finally said that there is an acceptance from the Israeli side to this proposal, said that this is not a good deal for Israel, which means that Israel is accepting it with a lot of reluctance. And as we have seen, there is also opposition from within the Israeli cabinet, especially the right-wing members who are still very much in opposition. There is also another very important obstacle, which is the fact that these 3 stages or 3 phases of this particular resolution involve some kind of collaboration with Hamas and agreements with Hamas, because Hamas is the one that's going to be taking decisions on important critical steps, such as the release of the hostages in the coming stages. And this means that Hamas is going to continue to play a very important and vital role in the coming weeks, if not months, in this deal. And that is something, of course, that is very much in contrast and contradiction with the declared objectives of Netanyahu and his cabinet, many of whom are saying clearly, our goal is clear. We want the complete, total destruction and dismantling of Hamas. And of course, we're seeing here some of these inherent contradictions within this particular deal, which really kind of give us some kind of alarming signs or signals about its very vitality and possibility.
Okay, so Sahar, as I understand from what you have just said, the main stumbling block here when it comes to reaching a ceasefire in Gaza is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Why do you think he does not want a ceasefire right now? Because we have seen statements from Hamas, and I think Hamas has made it very clear that they want the fighting to stop. They want Israeli attacks to stop in Gaza. In fact, Hamas also reacted positively to the ceasefire proposal made by President Joe Biden.
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking it, because Hamas did say clearly if Israel accepts the proposal, they're going to accept it too. Now, the main obstacle being Netanyahu is a really good question, because Netanyahu really kind of bets on the continuation of the war on Gaza in order to save his own political career. It is no secret that he is facing certain charges within Israel. If he is seen as the weak man, or he does not achieve his goals in Gaza, or he leaves office or is forced to leave office, he is really in a very serious political situation, or even I can say a crisis, because he can very well face certain charges, on the background of, financial corruption and other issues which have been hanging in Israeli courts. So for him, this is a life or death situation. He is really desperate in order to prove that Israel is not losing the battle in Gaza, that it is achieving its goals, and that he is, quote unquote, the hero and the winner for the Israeli people. So this is a life or death situation for Netanyahu, which explains why he has been very stubborn until the very last minute. And even now, his aide and advisor is talking about a very reluctant acceptance of this deal, which is being described as, quote unquote, not a good deal for Israel. That does not give me a lot of room for optimism about how enduring, successful, or effective this kind of resolution is going to be.
Sahar Khamis, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.